Hi, this video is Widowhail here. Although I did say I would be quitting, there's two interesting tech I want to talk about before. Fuck it. I'll just get the details later. But so this is an interesting thing, yeah. Yesterday when I was I was chilling and doing other stuff, I suddenly had the realization that you can scale Icicle Mine in a way that wasn't available previously in other leagues, and that is this. So Replica Dragon's Fang's Flight is a new amulet. It drops in heist, and it gives you +3 to any skill gem. It's random. So I looked for Icicle Mine. There was one up for about 2 divines. I asked the guy for 1 divine and 100C, and he said okay. And I bought this for 1 divine and 100C. And this +3 levels is pretty much what you would pay. I mean, for 1 divine and 100C, it's the +3 is pretty good, because normally for you to get +2 on this, it's 1 divine, and then you have to figure out the colors, and then for +4 it's going to be like a ridiculous amount of money right now because everyone's looking at it. So I got this because not only does it improve reservation, it also improves your Icicle Mine levels, and the reduced attribute requirements is also very helpful. So that's the reason why I've gone this. With this, my damage has kind of gone up by about 40%, 30 to 40%, which is pretty nice. Yeah, I realized that this particular amulet has been getting sniped as well, because when I've been monitoring it, like every time I see a one that's a good decent spell one that is really cheap, it gets sold out instantly, right? So keep an eye out for this if you are playing a spell build, Exsanguinate, Corrupting Fever, etc, etc. This is really strong as an amulet, and try to snipe one cheap as well, for sure. Anyway, let's talk about cheap scaling for Icicle Mine. I've already broken into T14s, and yeah, I can probably do T16 right now, to be frank. Not like giga juice T16s, but T16s like Alken Go kind of thing. And so I want to describe the scaling mechanics here if you are on a really small budget. So altogether, everything I have here is less than, it's probably less than 2 divines, if you want to think about it. So let me talk about things that I've learned this league and what you can use for your own progression. Alright, Martial Legion still remains as the cheapest way of scaling mines early. So if you can get a Martial Legion with +5, you're always going to be like zooming really fast. If you're playing Icicle Mine, chains is always needed because it gives you clear. +2 chains is like comfortable, +1 is possible, and no chain at all is terrible. If you don't have chain, you have to go for Pierce. But I would highly suggest you go for chain, especially if you're Deadeye. Heat Shiver is the next best damage increase other than March of the Legion, 100%. So do find one cheap. Probably pay about 20 chaos at most, maybe 30 chaos if you're feeling a bit generous. But yeah, these two alone will carry your damage, right? And once you get a +2 or levels on this, or you get something like this, this will like 100% carry your damage. Now let's talk about, oh, and also this. So this is kind of something that's been underrated. Most people don't know about this that much, because they have not. I'm gonna stop this notification. It's really annoying. It's not well like talked about. But to be frank, if you're starting mines, this is one of the best ways of scaling damage, because 100% increased spell damage is amazing. You don't really get a lot of percentage-based increase in damage on your tree for mines, so this is very welcome. The second thing as well is the reduced cast speed doesn't really affect you that much, so that's great. And also, the last thing is the implicit is important, right? So if your Icicle Mines, your base crit is generally quite okay. You don't really need more base crit. It's nice to have, but it's not essential. So maximum frenzy charges works really well because you're going charge mine support. But if you're going something like Hex Blast, for example, and Hex Blast mines, Hex Blast itself has a base crit of 4. If you get the crit implicit, which is like up to 0.8, it's almost a 20% increase, more crit chance, right? So personally, if you can get this with crit, you do it with a base. God damn it. Okay, so if your base crit is low, you definitely want to go for crit implicit here. If your base crit is high and you don't really need more base crit, frenzy charges is great. Anyway, so yeah, so base crit is great if you're going Hex Plus, because Hex Plus has terrible base crit. Icicle Mines has a base crit of 6, so you don't really need more base crit. +1 frenzy charges is probably more effective here, and that's what I've done. This is literally like 10 chaos or less, right? And so that's all the damage that you really need. It's this, and this. Now the rest of it is going to build into the defenses. Okay, Thessalia Sign also kind of damage, but for now the flat scaling on this is not as good as it used to be. I'm mainly keeping this for the chance to freeze. Anyway, so yeah, so this is the way you scale damage. This can get you to T16s easily, and you'll be clearing T16s pretty fast. Alright, let's talk about weapons. Most people would put damage on their weapons, and to be frank, that's a viable path to take. But what I've noticed that's very interesting in this particular league is that Widowhail and Rearguard is literally one of the best defensive mechanics on a budget you could get. Right, and the reason why it is one of the best defensive mechanics you can get on a budget is because you get near attack block cap, and you get a 45% spell block. And to get this levels of block investment, requires considerable amount of investment. To be honest, if you go for something like, even if you go for something like Tempest Shield with a high block shield, it would still take you a considerable amount of passive points to be able to get this amount of block. So to be able to get near cap attack block and 45% spell block just with 2 items and that take up your weapon slots is amazing. And to be frank, not a lot of things are going to be able to beat this out. So this is what I'm guessing. This will be the last things I would upgrade, mainly because I would need a lot more defenses to be able to survive T16s without these 2 things, and they only cost like 1C each or something. It's super cheap, right? And you can also go for so I don't have this yet, but you can get suppression as a corrupted implicit on this, 12%. And if you have 12%, if you multiply it by 250 or 240%, this is like almost close to 28% or something like that. Is it 28? Yeah, 28. It's 28% of suppression. 28% suppression is insane, right? Because that means you like save so many points. So 100% I'm going to advocate for this. It's not going to be well documented because no one has kind of done this. But if you're going any spell build, this combination alone is going to hard carry you. They don't even need like stat requirements. You can get it like super fast in the league, and once you get it like level 30, because I think this is 31, yeah. Once you get at level 31, you don't really need to replace your weapons. You scale damage of other sources, right? Because if you were to scale damage on your weapons, they're generally more expensive, and then trying to get the defenses elsewhere is like really hard. So scale defenses on this combination, and then just build damage everywhere else. So all in all, this is how you build a very good, tanky, fast, high DPS character that can do T16s like on a really small budget, right? So this is generally how it is. Now, I want to explain why I'm back in the game. And so while I was testing this out, I thought I'd do a bit of maps, and I did a bit of Atlas, and this fucking thing dropped. I'm pretty sure this will go up to like 50 divines eventually. Right now it's at 30 something, 30, 48, 40 something divine, 40 divines around there. This would essentially fund my build for the league, because technically I never make a build that's more than 40 divines. But still, I'm not going to sell this now. I'm just going to wait, because generally Mage Bloods Mage Bloods tend to appreciate in price, so it makes no sense for me to sell it early. But yeah, I pretty much dropped this in Crimson Temple while I was doing an expedition. I opened a box and it literally dropped just like that. So, you know, GGG has bribed me to kind of stay in the game, I guess. Willing to give this another shot, but I think this week I'll be like really busy at work. I actually have to go to office today. So yeah. Just saying, if you want to continue scaling the build and you're having difficulty because everything's expensive, to be honest, it's kind of my fault last league, because I guess a lot of people really looked at the build and figured out that it was a pretty strong league starter, right? Because there's an unprecedented amount of people playing Icicle Mine. Of course, there are alternate scaling methods. There's the one with the Bitter Dream and etc. There's another not content creator. There's another build maker on the PoE forums that is advocating for Icicle Mine, and the guy has actually more experience than me on that. But I think the Wrathpith Shah like this combo is pretty much the end game best gearing setup possible, especially for this patch. And that's what everyone's going right now. Well, that being said, here are some of the alternate paths I've thought of. So I was considering like dropping March to Legion. I'll figure out another way, another thing to slot in there, and go for Victorious Influence. Haven't really done that yet. This one has +4, or +5. So with this amulet, it will be +8, and I will be close to cap 29. Yeah, Icicle mine with this, and I'll have 6 sockets, so I'll have 2 extra sockets. I think the downside of this is that Shroud are lightless. The penetration from it is ridiculous, to be frank. But I do feel that when I drop Shroud, there are other gearing setups I can go for. I can go for mind throwing speed with percentage life, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm considering building to this, but for that to happen, I need more currency. I need more currency to get this to 6 socket, and I need more currency to link this, because Tainted Fusings are like 60 chaos right now. Yeah, and then, trust me when I say this, I can definitely sell the apothecary and then do whatever I want, but that's just not my style. I've always like coming up with strategies for budget building, mainly because like, who cares if I like dump a big dick amount of money in the game, in my build, right? It makes no sense. Because personally speaking, like, I think a lot of people who play the game are doing it casually. They don't have access to a lot of time, and they don't have access to a lot of resources. So following all these big dick gearing guides, generally, if you do that and you don't have the time and you're not like a kid playing like 24/7, you must be RMT. That's my only 2 cents. Yeah. But so basically, my suggestion is, do follow the setup if you're having trouble progressing into maps. With just this alone, which will cost you, I think, okay, without this amulet, okay, the rest will be like less than 50 chaos, and you should just push in high rates easily. You'll never have a situation where you're not tanky enough to do the content, or won't have enough damage to do the content. You have both in this particular build. All right, I'm out. See you guys. I might still not play, because the base league is boring as fuck. But I may play once in a while, and then eventually sell the apothecary and build that Pathfinder thing. Alright, see you guys. Peace. I'm out. Bye bye.